This MMA 30 segment is powered by The Gun Store. Next time you're in Las Vegas, if you want to shoot a real machine gun, do it at The Gun Store at 2900 East Tropicana. Dave Farra alongside Frank Mir here in Las Vegas, coming off a huge win. Congratulations on Saturday night, breaking the arm of Big Nog, something that's never been done before.
No, first time anybody's, I think, put him in a submission and put him in that situation.
What was it like when you got that arm? Did you think that he was going to tap?
Honestly, I didn't even think about it because I think that makes you hesitate. If you're like, is he going to tap? Then you might slow down the move. And at that level, someone gets away, and then you feel stupid afterwards. So I really just maintained position and just kept applying force. Hopefully, like if he taps, I stop. If he doesn't, well,
we see what happens.
See what happens.
So it's been 3 years since your fight back at UFC 92, and that fight you beat him up on the feet, and no one had ever knocked out Big Nog before, and so that was an accomplishment in and of itself. Did that make you think that he wasn't going to stand with you in this fight?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of made a mistake. It was funny because all my cornermen like he's going to rush you. He's going to take it to you right off the bat. And as we're running, I'm like, there's no way. You know what I mean? Like, I've only improved more and more since that fight when it comes to the boxing. He's not going to want to stand and trade with me. So really, when he started throwing punches, I'm like, it's just a facade. He's only throwing to get me to throw back, commit. And he's going to go for the legs and try to end up on top, And he started to at first. I threw my first counter left hand, and he actually shot on me. And that just reaffirmed what I thought. And then when we broke away from the cage, I thought he was coming in. When he started changing levels, I was going to throw a punch to the body to move him back. So you see me start to fire it off, and then he came in just like he did with Schaub and hit me with the right hand. Really had me stunned for a second.
How badly were you hurt?
My balance was more disrupted than actually my consciousness. When he hit me, at first it was like, you get your bell rung. But as soon as I stepped backwards, I was mentally very coherent. It's just that my legs were wobble. I think something about getting hit around the ear area just kind of throws you off balance-wise. So when I took a step back, I had enough, obviously, my bearings to realize I don't want to trade right now. I'll be on a highlight reel, and I'm not going to enjoy that. As soon as I stepped back and realized my legs were query, I went and shot in on the legs trying to avoid more striking while I was in that situation. Then I remember having an ankle, and I could feel him punching towards my head and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, there wasn't enough velocity on him to do anything. So I was just really trying to put pressure on the ankle so I could get ready, take a deep breath. Heavyweights, we fight in spurts. You take kind of a breath, gather yourself, and then explode across for a takedown. But then he jumped for the guillotine, which immediately had me nervous. I was like, oh, no, not this. But I rotated over and was able to sweep him.
I mean, you're an analyst. You went back and watched that fight, I'm sure. What did you think about when you guys were spinning across the ground like that? Very rarely do you see heavyweights move like that.
No, I thought it was a great heavyweight display of jiu-jitsu skills and grappling in general. When I did the step over, it's funny, I've never grabbed the Kimura and stepped over like that. That's usually my drag defense, which he put himself in. When he sat on his hip, when he went for my back, you shouldn't go for the back with that much space. People just step over you. And that's all I really did was I just stepped over, just that I locked up the Kimura first and then stepped over. That was just a battle of hips, and he made a mistake.
So if he had, to break down kind of what he did, should he have continued to throw those punches, in your opinion, looking back on the fight with hindsight being 20/20, would he have had a better shot to win it?
No, I think going for the guillotine was awesome because my head was down. And then the reason why he went for the guillotine is I brought my head back up to start driving. So that was my engaging to drive in on him. That's when you see guys throwing punches and the guy explodes and grabs your legs. So with him standing there, actually I would have done the same exact thing. The only thing is when you lock up the guillotine, he fell backwards, which allowed me the momentum over the top. He should have locked up the guillotine, stepped his foot over my back, and then sat down and crunched, and then I wouldn't have been able to get away.
So this puts you in an awkward position in the heavyweight division because you're right there, almost being number one contender, but they've already said this Brock Lesnar and Alistair Overeem fight is for number one contender to Junior Dos Santos' belt. He's injured. He may be out for a while. So how do you see this all playing out?
I mean, really, it's kind of day by day. I also, like everybody else, found out about Overeem and having to take a urine test that he flew away from, and now he's got to take it on Friday. So as far as Monday was concerned, I thought I was going to be back in the gym getting ready maybe to replace him to fight Brock. And then obviously when they gave him that temporary license, There's no way he's silly enough not to go ahead and just take the urine test. I think he gets to take it in Holland even, right, and send it over.
Well, he took the original one in Holland, then today he had to fly to London to take one there.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, he would be crazy not to take care of that because, I mean, fighting's his business, and I think that already, pulling out of the Grand Prix and then, and not fulfilling this obligation would be not a good way to get on the Fertitta's good side.
So did they make the call to you and say, hey, could you be ready by December 30th?
I never really got an official phone call, to be honest with you. I just was smart enough to pay attention and be like, they're putting a lot of money into this. They're not going to want to scratch the bout altogether. If Overeem, for whatever reason, runs into a roadblock, why not be ready,
So let's say that fight happens. Who do you think wins it, Brock or Alistair?
I think Brock wins it just because, a lot of people are putting into Alistair's stand-up. But if you watch fights, he doesn't move his feet a lot. And I think that trying to defend the shot from Brock, it's going to be a very hard challenge for him to overcome. I see that Brock now, I think if he had fought Brock maybe 2 or 3 fights ago, he had a better chance, being that Brock might have stood and trade with him. But now I think Brock, after his last 2 fights, is shown that he doesn't like to get hit. And it's not really a jaw thing because he's been hit and not put to sleep. It's just that he just, for whatever reason, just does not like that kind of punishment. I have no idea what's going through his head, but it's very apparent. So I think that actually it's made him more dangerous in the sense that now he's not going to try to exchange with you. So he's not going to sit there and give you that chance that you could win, because let's face it, if Overeem's going to win, how's he going to win? By knockout. He's not submitting Brock. He's not going to out-wrestle him. So now Brock doesn't even want to play that game at all, where had he played it before, every second that he's sitting there trading with Overeem, Overeem has a chance. But what chance does a striker have if you just cover up, run across the ring, throw him against the cage, don't let nothing, then grab his legs and rip him under?
So if Brock wins that fight, like you're predicting he would, are you going to lobby hard to try to get that rematch with Brock before Brock would hypothetically match up with Junior Dos Santos?
Yeah, I think that would, if Junior Dos Santos, it depends on what kind of knee injury he had. If it's a knee scoping, I mean, hell, I had my knee scoped 8 weeks before I fought Roy. You're out for a week or two, of minimal training, but you get right back into it. If he's had some kind of ligament repair, there's an ACL, type of replacement, that's, a good year before we'll see him again. So then I could sit there and go, well, Brock's coming off of a nice win over Overeem. Carwin would be another option, but obviously he's still injured. Velasquez is coming off of his loss, and I also heard that he has an injury, that he's very hurt. And so it looks like, as long as, Brock can come through healthy, then I see that as the best thing for me to lobby for.
I think that's a great fight. Would you be interested in a Cain Velasquez fight if he is healthy?
Yeah, especially if it was a 3-round fight, we all hear about his unbelievable conditioning. So to know I have to fight him in 3 fights, 3 rounds, I think would be more my favor than having to fight him in the deeper waters where he has such an advantage.
Recent news, Roy Nelson and Fabricio Werdum are going to be fighting here in Las Vegas Super Bowl weekend. How do you see that fight playing out?
I think Roy takes it, just for the reason being that, Fabricio is a very accomplished jiu-jitsu player, but I think he gives up positions a lot in the ring. He still will pull guard and fight off the bottom. And, he caught Fedor that way, so, he is dangerous there. But that being said, if the top guy is also an accomplished jiu-jitsu practitioner like Roy and he is aware of what's going on, well, top guy is always in a better position. I think Fabricio throws punches, but I don't think he has a lot of punching power because he hit Alistair a lot of times. He landed a lot of punches. Alistair, I think, even stopped moving his head. He just had no respect for it. Just kind of had his hands up and was looking for the shot. I think that Roy can knock him out on his feet, or I think that if he tries to play too much ground jiu-jitsu off his back, he could get knocked out pretty viciously too from there. Roy has some pretty phenomenal ground and pound.
And if things play out exactly right for you, you'll eventually get the shot at Junior Dos Santos and his belts. How would you see yourself matching up against JDS, and what would be your key to victory?
I think just, I know that he likes to box, so I would try to kickbox him in that area, keep it a little bit longer. If he steps into boxing range, I would try to smother him and make it a ground fight. I think that, his only loss obviously was a couple of years ago, I think in 2007, that he lost due to a submission. So, right now he looks pretty, sound in the stand-up area as far as his boxing is concerned. I think going to the ground would be the best advantage.
Frank Mir, always a pleasure, man. Congratulations on the huge win. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
MMA 30 segment is powered by The Gun Store. Next time you're in Las Vegas, if you want to shoot a real machine gun, do it at The Gun Store at 2900 East Tropicana.